Today's session is called as cell reference. So first we'll understand what is the cell reference and then we'll go ahead with the topic. Let me go inside. So before going to this topic, so I'll take one more example. Okay. So the cell reference, I'll take this example and then I'll tell you how to use this cell reference and how this is actually important for formulas. So before going to this topic, what I'll do is I'll just explain what is the cell reference in a simple way and then I'll come to these examples. Let's assume that I have a number here, 100 and 200. Let me zoom this. See, I have two numbers here, 100 and 200. I'll write a formula here. When I'm writing a formula, first I should use equals. When I say equals, that means the cell is becoming a formula cell. I'll press 100 plus 200 and say enter. So I'll get the result here. But in the next cell, I'll use a reference, say equals. I'm referring a cell. Say, I'll say equals and I'm clicking on this G22. That means I'm referring G22 plus, then I'll refer G24, G23. So here I'm not taking the value, I'm just referring some other cell and I'm saying enter. So both cells are giving me 300. But if you want to change the value, let's say I want to add 500 plus 400, then I have to go here. In this case, I have to change this to 500 plus 400. But in this case, I just have to go here, change only the value in this cell, and I'll get the result. So when I use this reference, it is easy for me to change the value. But when I'm using this formula, this is the hard-coded value in the formula, so it will become difficult for me to go there and edit it. So for this reason, always we'll try to take the reference in the formula so that it will become dynamic as well as it is easy for me to edit the values. But when I'm referring, there are different type of references. When I'm referring a cell for calculating or say using in a formula, there are different way of referring it. So that I'll be telling you what are those different type of references, how they actually work and how they are actually implemented in the formulas. Right. So we understood how we can refer. So it is just referring. Now let's say equals, and if I say 500, say G22 in this address, if I say enter, I'll get whatever value is there in this. So first we'll try to understand what is this reference, what are the different type of references are there, and then we'll try to go with more examples. First we'll try to understand the references. There are three types of references. One is relative, second one is absolute, and third one is mixed. So I'll repeat again, say relative, absolute, and then mixed reference. So these are the three different reference what we'll be having. Fine. Let me come here. First, we'll see how this relative reference will work. The relative reference will work something like this. Say equals, and I'll refer another cell. Say B9. I just say equals and say B9 and say enter. I'll get whatever value is there in B9 here. Now in the next cell, I'll say equals and I'll select this. It says B10. Then I'll say enter. Now, if you want this cell to be referred here, I'll say equals and I'll select this. So I'm actually keep on saying B9, I'll refer here, then B10, then B11. So I need not actually do like this, referring each cell. So what I can do is I'll just refer one cell, that is B9, and I can drag it down like this, or I can copy it down like this. So what will happen? See, the reference changed. B9 automatically changed to B10, B11, B12, B13 like this. So when I'm using this relative reference, what will happen is when I'm dragging from top to bottom, the row number will change. If you'll observe, this B is not changing anywhere. The column B is fixed. That means this column B is fixed here. So when I'm going and checking this, say B9, then the row number is changing. 10 is changing, 11, 12, 13, 14, and it goes on. So when it is a relative reference, when I'm copying any formula from top to bottom or bottom to top, the row number will change, column will not change, column will be fixed as is. That is in the same column. Suppose if I'm copying this formula towards my left hand side or right hand side, let's say I'll drag it. Now if you see this, B9 will change to C9. Now the row number is not changing, the column is changing. See, D9, then here it is E9. Same thing if I drag this one, it says B10, then here it will become C10, D10 and E10. This is actually relative reference. So what is this relative reference? I'm just telling that when I'm dragging, the reference is getting changed. So if it is relative reference, the reference will be keep changing. But how do I know that it is relative reference? When I actually say equals and say select this B9, this is not fixed. So this will be keep changing relatively. That means you either copy this down or towards your right hand side or left hand side. So this reference will be keep changing accordingly. Now see, I'll just copy this down. We change the row numbers. Now if I copy this towards my right hand side, the complete table is actually referred. So wherever you go, C9, D9 and say E9. So this is relative reference. That means the values, the reference is not fixed. So whenever you feel that the formula where the reference should not be fixed and it has to change accordingly, then I can use this relative reference. Fine. We'll see the next one, then we'll get the idea of relative also. Absolute. Absolute means fixed. That means when I fix or say when I make a reference absolute, wherever I copy that reference, the reference will be same. Like this, say equals, I'll say this one. It says B9 here. So what I'll do is I'll put a dollar sign here to this column name and dollar sign to this row number and I'll say enter. It says Atlanta, that is B9. Now if I just drag it down, see everywhere it will be B9 only. This is when I copy this from top to bottom or bottom to top. So suppose if I copy this right hand side like this, still it says B9 only. That means the reference will get fixed when I say $B, $9. This dollar sign, whatever is there, it can be either for your column or it can be for your row number. So what will happen is the dollar sign will fix the reference. Now let me do it again. I'll delete this. I'll say equals and I'll say B9. So I manually put the dollar sign. So you don't have to put manually the dollar sign, just to make you guys understand. I just put the dollar sign manually. Now what I can do is I'll say shortcut key F4. F4, the function key F4. Suppose if you want, just put it here. Anyways, I'll be sending you all the shortcut keys. See here, say F4 is a shortcut key which will help me in fixing the reference. Say equals, this, I'll press function F4. I'll get dollar sign for the column name, you can see here, and dollar sign for this row number. So if the column and the row number both will have dollar sign, that means it is absolute. So wherever I copy this, see, drag it down and drag it towards my right hand side. So everywhere it will be fixed. B9, B9, everywhere it will be B9. This is called as absolute reference. Right. Let me delete this. Next is the mixed reference. Mixed means it is mix of say relative and absolute. So how is this? Equals and I'll select this. When I press F4, that means the column and the row both are fixed. Now wherever I copy, it will be B9 only. But sometimes what will happen, I want to fix only the columns, not the rows. Now press F4 again. Now the row number is fixed. The column is not fixed. That means the column is relative, the row is absolute. So wherever this dollar sign, see again people will get confused where this dollar sign will come. Here we'll have two parts, one is column and one is row. The dollar sign is actually prefix, dollar row number, the dollar column. So if I put this dollar sign for this row number, that means the row is fixed. Say enter. We have seen in relative reference that row number will change when I'm copying that from top to bottom or bottom to top. So how to remember? See, the row number is vertical like this and column is horizontal like this. So you should know that when I put dollar sign, that means the row number will change like this from top to bottom or bottom to top. Now the dollar sign is for row number. Now if I drag it down, see, it will have same value. That means anyways this column name will not change in the same column. So let me drag it towards my right hand side. See, B9 will change to C9 and then D9 and E9. Now let me copy this down. If you copy this down, the row number is fixed, but the column will be keep changing. All right, this is one way of mixed reference. Let me delete this. I'll say equals and then I'll select this. Press F4. This is absolute. Again, I'll press F4. So it says $9. That means the row number is fixed. If I press again F4, see $B. That means the column is fixed. Now I'll say enter. When I drag it down, the row number will change. Here the row number is not fixed. So when I copy this down, see B9, D10, B10, B11, 12, 13, 14, it goes on because the row number is not fixed. But here the column is fixed. When I copy towards my right hand side, so what will happen? See, the column is fixed and the column will not change. So the dollar sign actually plays something like it is fixed for the reference. So these three references, relative, absolute, and mixed references, will play a very important role in our formulas. And people don't have to bother because these things, when I'm teaching, it will be a little confusing or say you might not understand. But when we work on examples, 100% this will become very simple. But now what I'm trying to show in this topic is what are the different type of reference available. So even if you're not able to understand or say a little confusing, the next examples what I'm giving, I'll be explaining all these three examples so that you will get more inputs on this. So to understand it very simple, relative reference, that means here I'll not have any dollar sign, no dollar sign for row and column. When I say absolute, I'll press F4, dollar sign for column and for row. And for mixed reference, the dollar sign will be either for row or for column. Right. Now what we'll do is I'll take you through some more examples so that you'll understand this reference more clearly. Fine. I have some examples here for you guys to understand these three reference. Here I'm not going to do any calculations or I'm not going to teach you any formulas here. I'll just show you how the reference will work. Let's understand this scenario. The scenario is I have a table here with few products. And here I have the total price, that is the sales price of the complete product which has been sold. And the total price is here and each product price is here. Now I want to know the market share of each product. When I say market share, the formula will be this value divided by the total value of all the products. Now let me go back. If you want to calculate that, one way is I'll say equals this value divided by the total year and say enter. Right, I'll get 6.1%. Now for the next one, I'll go here, say equals this value divided by, I'll select this, say enter. Again for next value equals this value divided by this value. If I'm doing like this for every cell, it is time consuming and it is not a professional way of writing the formulas. So what should I do? Let me just delete this and we'll do it in a proper way. So what we have to do is, see, here the calculations are similar. That is the sales divided by the total sales. So in that case, what should I do? I'll say equals this value divided by, I will select this total. Fine. But this total is same for all the values. So for that, what I'll do, here the C43, I'll press F4. Let me zoom this and I'll show you again. We'll say equals this value divided by, let me scroll here, C43, and I will press F4 to this reference. Now this one is relative, so that the C8 will change to C9, C10, C12. But the C43 value, whatever is there, this should be fixed, so that this value is referred to all the other cells. Now I'll say enter. Now let me just take few columns, there's a few cells. Now I'll check, see, the C43 is not changed because it is absolute. Because I'm taking this value, the total value which is in C43, to divide with C9 value, that is this value. If you go and check every cell, see, this value divided by C43. So this is how you should utilize the references. If I would have not used this reference, if I'm going here and say equals this divided by C43, so what will happen to the next cell if I drag it, see? The C43 will become C44, then C45, C46. So this C43 should not change. It should be a fixed reference. Then I'll make it F4. Then if I drag it, so everywhere it will be C43 only. So this is how you should start utilizing your reference skills. Right. I'll show you one more example. This example is a little different from the previous one. Here I have a table when I have a list of say sales reps. Now I have a table here where the sales reps has done some sales throughout the year. Now we're trying to calculate the incentives based on the percentage for each month. So the formula will be this value, that is the sales value of each rep multiplied by this percentage. So that I'll get the incentives. Now in this case, I have to study the data first. These are the values which I need to multiply with this percentage. And here the percentage is in only one row, and this is fixed for all the other sales reps. But the value is changing for every month. That means in this case, the row has to be fixed. The column should not be fixed. That means this is mixed reference. Here, one of the, say I am actually trying to fix, say in row and column, I'm trying to fix the row number so that the column is not fixed, and that is why it's called as mixed reference. So here, I'm trying to fix the row and not fixing the column. So what I'll do is, I'll go here, I'll do the calculation. I'll say equals, let me scroll here, I'll select this, and I'll say multiplied by this value. Now when I come back, as I told you, this 6 Q6, this row has to be fixed. I'll say F4, but here the column should not be fixed. I'll press F4 again. Now if you see this, the column is not fixed, the row is fixed. That is, when I copy this down, this 6 should be 6 only. When I copy this Q to the next cell, it should become R6. Say enter. Now let me just copy this down and check this. See, everywhere it is Q6 only, because the percentage is in 6th row. Now let me copy this towards my right hand side. See, it is changing to R6. That means if you go and check here, this Q6 should change to R6, S6, T6 as I copy the formula. But when I copy this down, this 6 should not become 7. So for that, what I did, I just try to fix this row number 6. Now, let me just delete this. I'll tell you the easiest way what you should do. I'll delete this as well. Say equals. When you're writing a formula, once you understand the formula, say multiplied by this, then I'll fix this, say F4, and say F4, say enter. Now what I'll do is select the whole table like this. This is how you should do. Every time you should not keep dragging it. So what I'll do, once I'll write the formula in one cell, then use Control D and say Control R. So what it will do is, it will copy down and it will copy right. So for that, what you should do, first I should select the table here like this. And then I'll say Control D, Control R. Now everywhere if you go, see, the row number 6 is fixed everywhere, but the column is changing. So this is actually called as mixed reference. Let's go to one more. In this example, I'm just trying to multiply the values. Say I have some number here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 till 12. And here also I have some number, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 till 12. So what I want in this table is, each value in this column should be multiplied with each column in this row. So if you go and check this, say 1 into 1, I should get 1. 2 into 1, I should get 2. And 3 into 1, I should get 3. So likewise, I'll go here, I'll just do it manually first. I should get values like this. And then say 1 multiplied by 2, it should be 2 here. And 2 multiplied by 2, it should be 4 here. Sorry, 4. And if I drag this thing, I should get the result like this. Similarly, the whole table should get mixed. So it will get filled here like this. Say 12 multiplied by 12, I should get 144, something like that. So how to write this in a formula? So sometimes what people will do is they'll do like this, say equals this multiplied by this, and I'll try to fix the row, say fix the cell, and then they'll drag it. Again they'll come here, say equals this multiplied by this, again they'll fix this, say they'll drag it. Don't do this. So what will happen is, for every column you have to keep changing the reference. Instead, so what I'll do is I'll go here, say equals, select this, multiplied by, I'll select this and say enter. Now if I drag this, I'll get again wrong result, see, because here the B8 will become B9, which is fine. But this C7 will become C8, which is the next row. So what should I do? First, let's understand what has to be fixed, what should not be fixed. So here I'll say equals, I will select this. In this case, what should be fixed? Say here the column has to be fixed. That means when I'm dragging towards my right hand side, the column name, whatever is there, should be B only. Then I'll say F4, F4, F4. I can keep pressing F4 until unless I get this dollar sign in the right place. Now for me, the column is fixed. Multiplied by, I will select this one. In this case, the row has to be fixed. I'll press F4, F4. The row number is fixed. Say enter. Now when I drag this down, since the row number is fixed here, the one is fixed. Here anyways, B is fixed, so the column will not change. In this case, I'll get the result. Now let me drag it towards my right hand side. See? Now here, this B8 will be B8 only, but it is changed to D7 because in this, the column is not fixed, the row is fixed. When I'm copying this down, see, everywhere it will be 7 only. But when I'm going here, so everywhere it will be B. That is, in this case, the column is fixed and here the row is fixed. So likewise, I can utilize this references so that wherever I go, okay, I can make it dynamic. Otherwise, for every cell, I should keep on using this, say formulas. So in this case, I just have to go here and then use these references and then finish the task. So this is references. Again, I'll repeat: relative, mixed, and absolute. And I'll show you more examples. Apart from this, let's understand some more examples so that you'll have more understanding on this references. So what I'll do, I'll go here. There is one more chapter, formulas. I'll just take the basic functions only today so that you guys will understand about the references more. The next chapter is about the formulas. In this chapter, you'll be learning some basic functions like how to sum, how to average, minimum, maximum, things like this. But here also I'll be using these three references for calculating or using these functions. So first let's understand what is this function. Functions are nothing but a kind of programs written in the backend which are used for writing the formulas. Now when I say sum is a function, but that is used to write a formula. So what are formulas? Formulas are nothing but the equations. Now when I go inside, I have a table here. I've created some table for different formulas. Just fill this. So what will happen is, see, the scenario is I want the total of each quarter here. That is the total of all the sales reps in each quarter. And again, I want the total sales of each rep as well in this cell. To do this, one way is I'll go and I'll say equals this value plus this value plus this value. So I can keep adding the plus 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 to all the cells. But if I'm doing like this, I might miss some cell, or I might give a wrong reference as well. Instead, what I can do is I can use some functions, that is basic functions, to work on these kind of calculations. So how to work on these formulas by using the functions? Say I want the total of this range. First, I should understand my requirement. My requirement is to add all the values in this range. So what I'll do, I'll say equals sum. So what the sum will do, it will add all the values in the range what I've selected. Let me go here. I'll select the entire range from here till here, and I'll close the bracket. And if you see here, it says C8 to C22. If I say C8 to C22, the reference there, what you see is actually relative. When I say relative, if you see here, see it says C8 to C22, no dollar sign. That means the reference will change when I'm copying towards my right hand side or left hand side. I'll say enter. I got some result. This is for quarter 1. Now for quarter 2, I'll say equals sum of, and I'll select this. Say enter. Since here it has got the same references. So what I can do is, instead of again putting the formula for all the cells, I can just copy this towards my right hand side like this. See, now it says C8 to C22, then here it says D8 to D22. That means if you feel that there are some formulas to be written like this with the same references, then you can go and you can use like this. So here, since it is relative reference, if I drag it, the C8 to C22, when I'm copying anything from right to left or left to right, the column will change. You can see this 8 and 22 will not change. C will change to D. See, if you want, you can go to view and say heading C here, and here it says E8, then F8, like this. This sum can be used with something called as auto sum as well. What is auto sum? Say alt and say equals, I'll get this formula, that is sum of the range here. I'll say enter. But this alt equals, which is also called as auto sum, is little, you should be little careful with this. What is this? Let's go on top. Let me delete some value here. And if you say this, I have a blank value. Now if I say alt equals, see, it will stop at this stage. So you should be little careful with this, right? If I have 0, there is no problem, because 0 is a value. But again, if this is a text, let's say I have a text here. Now if I say alt equals, see, it will stop here. So using auto sum, you should be very careful, because auto sum will stop at one stage where the cells are blank, or if it finds any cell which is text. In this case, see, previously we had a value. When I say alt equals, exactly it is stopping here because the above value was text. If this was number, let me make it as number. I just change this to number. Now if I say alt equals, see, taking this as well, because this is a number. So you should be a little careful with alt equals, but alt equals is very useful when you have a continuous range like this. This sum is not only for this columns. I can also use sum like horizontal or vertical. Anyways, you can use, say, equals sum of this. Say enter. Then alt equals works towards my left hand side as well. See, alt equals enter. Now if you see this C8 to F8, now this is also a relative reference. Now when I copy this down, the row number will change, column will not change. See, C8 to F8 and C9 to F9, C10 to F10, like this. So this is for sum. Sum is used for getting the total value. Fine. Next one, minimum. If you want to find a minimum value in a given range, then I can use this min. Let's go here. I'll say equals min of this one, this range. So in this range, it will give me the minimum value. So 1200 is the minimum value in this range. Since again this is a relative reference, I can just drag it like this. Fine. So I'm getting this minimum value. If you want to get maximum value, click on this. And I'll go here, equals max. When I click on this max, it will give me the maximum value in this range, the highest value. Minimum is the lowest value. Right, let's go to this average. Average is nothing but the total divided by the number of counts. So instead of doing all those calculations, say counting the numbers and say total divided by count, I can go here and I'll say average of this range. Say enter. It will give me the average. Average is nothing but the total divided by the number of counts. Fine. Let's go to these three functions, that is count A, count, and count blank. Before that, I'll tell you one more interesting thing here. Let's come back to this min. When I say min, it will give me the lowest value. But sometimes what will happen, I want to know the top third value or the lowest third value, lowest fifth value, or say top fifth value. So specific number I need. In this case, I'm getting the lowest value or I'm getting the highest value by using this min and max. Suppose if you want to get the third lowest value, then I can use something called a small. When I say small, it lasts for the range. That is, I'll select this range, like what I did for min. Then I'll say comma. It lasts for the lowest nth number. That is the k value. I'll say 3. Say enter. See, 1650, the third lowest value. If you want, what I'll do is I'll just put this 1, 2, 3. See, 1 is the minimum value, the lowest value. 3 is the third lowest value. Similarly, for max, I have something called as large equals, say, large. So here, let me select this, comma, and I'll say 3, close bracket. The large will give me, here I'm specifying it as 3, the third largest value. Say enter. 4500 is the third largest value. The highest value is 4590. Let me make it as 5000 here. Right? 5000 is the highest value now because I changed the value. Now let me make it as 4900. This is the second highest. Now I'll make it as 4800. So this is the third highest value. See, I'm just trying to QC it. That's all. Suppose if I make it as second highest, see, I'll get 4900. So max will give me the highest value. Large will ask me the which nth value I need. Mint will give me the minimum value, and small will give me the nth small value. So this is how we can use this in a formula. Now let's come to this count. Count, count A, and count blank. These three functions are actually used for counting. So what they will count, that we'll understand. Let's go to this count first. This count function will count only the numbers. Count A will count alphanumeric. So it is easy to remember. Say count only for numbers. When I say count A, that A refers to alphanumeric. Count blank will count only the blanks, wherever the blanks is there. Let's try and see how they actually work. Let's take these cells only. Here I have two blanks. Say equals count, and I'll select from here till here and say enter. It says 7. That means 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It will not count the blanks. So let me put some text here. It will not count. It will not count alphanumeric as well. So count will count only numbers. See, I'll delete this. Still, I cannot see any changes here. But when I delete a number, see, this will change. Count will count only numbers. Right. Let me come to this count A now. Count A will count alphanumeric. That means whether it is a number or it is a text, it will count. Let's say equals count A. I'll select these cells and I'll say enter. I have 10 cells. That means I've selected 10 cells here. You can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Enter. Count A also won't count blank. Let me delete these two. It says 8. Let me put some text. It will count text. Let me put some number. It will count number. Let me put some alphanumeric. Still it counts. That means whenever you feel that there is a column with mixture of numbers, alphanumeric, text, whatever, I can use count A to count. Suppose if you want to count how many numbers are there, let's say for example, I'll put this. I want to know how many numbers are there in this. Say, only numbers I need. Say, count, and let me select this. Enter. See, 3. 1, 2, 3. 3 numbers are there. So like this, you can use the functions. Right. Next one is count blank. Count blank is actually used for counting the number of blanks. Say equals count blank, and I'll select these cells. I have these two blanks here. Say enter. See, the two blanks are there. Let me delete this. One more blank. See, in the given range, if I have blanks, then it will show me how many blanks are there. But sometimes what will happen, by mistake, someone would have given space here. See, I have some spaces here. Now this is not blank because there are some space characters here. How to find this? Because now if you go and check this, if you see, it is like 1, 2, 3, 4, but here it says 3. The system is not giving me any wrong result, but here I have some space here. But how to know this? So these kind of QCs, these kind of checks can be done by more other functions which I'll be teaching you in the next sessions. Just to show you, so there is a function called as len. Anyways, I'll be teaching you just to show you guys. See, I'll go here. Can you see this? Here, though it is blank, it is showing me some number of characters here. That means there is some character here. I can delete this. Now it says 4. So as of now, I'm just showing you this. Don't bother about this. Just to show you guys how we can actually find, suppose if there is any results like this. So count blank will count only the blanks. Count A will count alphanumeric, and count will count only numbers. Okay, so this is for today. So let me recap quickly. We learned about reference, relative, absolute, mixed reference. Relative means no dollar sign. Absolute means dollar sign for both the column and the row. Mixed reference means either column or row will have the dollar sign. And we saw a few examples, and then we came to these functions. And functions means a set of programs which are written in the backend and it will be available in the library, and they can be used for writing formulas. And we saw a few functions, that is basic functions, sum which is used for giving me the total, minimum which will help me in giving me the minimum value in the range. Then we saw small which will help me in giving the nth small number in the given range. Then we saw max. Max will give me the maximum value in the range. Then large will give me the large nth value in the range. Then we saw about average. Average is nothing but the total divided by the count. Then we saw count A, which is count alphanumeric, count which is counting numbers, and then count blank will count the blanks. Right? So this is what we have for today.